Welcome to RevCast, a Civilization podcast focused on its console platforms. Elthrasher,
the Headless 10,
TyShine.
Just because you don't hear a particular discussion or a portion of a discussion doesn't mean I haven't saved it for a future episode.
There is no modding community for CivRev, is there?
No, there's not.
Real shame. Because the engine's strong and the capability would be fantastic, but, considering its target platforms, it is what it is. It would have been nice to have had a little bit of a touch on the PC version, to have the stronger maps, the bigger characters, the ease of gameplay, and then expand out from there. You could go with Civ 5 and say that's going to be the core gameplay for the PC from now on, and any CivRev is just going to be sticking with the console versions and the handheld versions, and that's never the twain shall meet. They'll never come together.
That's probably a reasonable guess, is that you have a PC version and that will continue on the path of complexity, and there may be successions of console handheld versions which continue along the CivRev. They are similar and share a lot of the same attributes.
I understand, especially when CivRev is the first title in this cousin series to the Civilization franchise on the PC side. On the console side, I understand why they were doing what they did, and they probably thought, ooh, there are obstacles there to being able to put in modding mechanisms. We're thinking about our target audience here. Who really wants to do that? Maybe in a Civilization Revolution 2, and I hope there is one, that you can have some basic modification capabilities put in there, like a simple map editor. And then you can test the waters to see what people can do with that, and also see how much interest there is in that. And then if there is that, then maybe through expansions or what have you, we could have even more.
Little big plan for CivRev?
Yeah.
To be honest, I haven't played the online version. It's not my bag. I'd rather play a strategy that lets me play the type of game that I want, as opposed to trying to destroy everybody by the year 2000 BC. That's just my way of playing.
It doesn't always go down that way, but sometimes it does.
Well, no. According to what I've seen in the community, that's the end result. The idea is to win as quick as possible.
I wouldn't say that's always true, but we can get into specifics later.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's probably one of the reasons I haven't gone online. I don't have a problem going online on other games, whether it's on the PC, on the 360, or even the Fantastic DS. Is the idea to win? Is the idea to win the way you want to win? Is the idea to basically destroy the other players? Part of the problem, I think, that the PC can allow you to put certain rules in place and certain stipulations in place to have the game won a specific way.
It's true, there's not a lot of customization.
Whereas online games on CivRev don't necessarily do that.
No. In friendly matches, we do okay, you have to play a peaceful game, or no attacking in the first 40 turns.
So that's a common one I've seen. They call it the Jesus rule, no attacking before 0 AD.
But that's the gentleman's match, as opposed to rules that you can set within the game itself.
Right.
So if you did a quick match, good luck with that, right?
Right.
Well, I mean, it's all over the place. You get people who are in for the long, you get people who try to take you out immediately and quit when they don't.
Ah, so it is a lot like Madden.
Well, it's a lot like a lot of different things. It really is very variable. I had some of the same concerns when I started jumping into multiplayer, that the games would be too fast-paced for my taste. Some of them are, but I've gotten good enough at them that that's okay now. But a lot of my early games were games that lasted into the 1900s or the 2000s and ended in an economic or tech victory. So, I mean, that definitely happens online. And I don't want to berate you for not wanting to go that direction. It's cool, but I would say that people should give it a shot. Definitely, I would say that if you like a slower-paced game, play a free-for-all game rather than a head-to-head game. Those are the ones that are lightning fast. Settler movement, which is kind of an advanced strategy. I'm sort of a recent convert to it. I was kind of a holdout for a long time and thinking like, no, that's just a waste of time. You're just going to get yourself killed. And I knew this would happen, but the more that I do it, the more I see just how ridiculously powerful it can be, where you've got 5 cities by 2000 BC.
It's tricky to learn. Not necessarily hard, but the first times you do it, you're not usually successful, and that tends to discourage people, I think. Like you yourself, even a great player who was totally against moving his settler just because I know I can play well if I stay put, and why risk if I don't need to? The challenge comes against people that you do have to risk. Someone like TyShine, who is going to play really aggressively, and you've got to be on your toes and try and scrape for any advantage you can get. Again, practice. The more you do it,
right,
the more you know, you kind of get an instinctive feel of what direction to go and if you should move, if you shouldn't move.
It's definitely a skill. I would definitely say that. It's not so simple as just throwing them out there and sending them anywhere. At first, I didn't like it either. I thought I just waste all these turns and I end up in these warrior army battles and it just goes nowhere. But once you kind of get the hang of it, and especially in head-to-head, and free-for-all is a little different, but in head-to-head especially, it makes for some big advantages early.
That's what I was going to say. Maybe not such a good idea in a free-for-all game, especially if someone else is playing the Zulu or the Aztecs. But I've been doing it in head-to-head. It can make such a difference.
Yeah, I still like to move out of peninsulas when I'm in free-for-all, but in head-to-head, most games I'm probably going somewhere.
Mm-hmm. What are you looking for when you move your settler?
Ideally, I'm looking for a goodie and a close AI. That's the best. But really, I'm just looking to get closer to the barbs, kind of closer to the action, faster starts. Either get a warrior walk-in on the AI, and you either get 5 to 10 turns to do that, or I'm looking to set up a fast horse rush.
It depends on your Civ, too.
That's true.
And obviously, the Greeks are different. You're looking to set up a nice courthouse range. If you're Egyptian, you're looking for deserts. Spanish, maybe you're trying to be isolated.
I like to look for horse rushes with them a lot, too. I get to name those tiles for 20 gold, but, if I stumble across a whale in 2 trees, I'm going to go ahead and stop.
What about a really strong Civ like America or China? Does moving help, hurt, not really matter?
With China, it's really easy, and I guess the same goes with America, because you get all to explore all that land, and you don't really need to do the extra with them, but I kind of like to have the greatest games possible, so I just go ahead and do it with them, too. Stay in place, move, it doesn't really matter. You're probably going to win if you know what you're doing.
True against most competition, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're trying to move for a normal rush, aggressive move, all you need are those 2 trees and 2 sea tiles so that you can get your tech that you need. Grass is helpful, but if it's not necessarily needed, if you can find something quick enough, settle on a hill maybe that's weaker than a balanced spot. But if you're going for the gold, especially if you see the human, take them out.
If you go for a hyper-aggressive strategy in this game, most of the time, even if somebody can beat you, he can't change the pace that you set of the game. He can't say, oh, wait a second, we're going all the way to spaceflight. It's not going to work. If you really get aggressive, the fact that you settled your city without food doesn't matter because you're never going to grow that city. The game will be over before you'd even think about doing that, one way or the other. That's really what changed my mind about this because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to settle with no food, and then what happens if thing works out for me? Then I can't even expand out of my one city. Well, in a head-to-head game, if
you can't take an AI, you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
If nothing works out for you, maybe your opponent's terrible and you can still somehow...
And if you don't need to take an AI, it's the kind of game that doesn't really matter, so just go ahead and go for it anyway.
Yeah. When you make an aggressive move and when it starts to work out, that your foot is on the gas, and that's really going to shape the entire game. So you can go ahead and say, I don't need food, I'm never going to grow a city. And
you got your 100 gold city eventually. That's what you kind of configure to.
Yeah, but that's...
If it gets there,
90% of the time at least, that's not even going to...
I have had a fair amount of games where I'll settle with no food and it'll go beyond the horse rushing stage, but I'll just constantly produce units out of it or a little bit of science if I need to, so it still does something.
Let's get into kind of a closely related topic, settler rushing. Kind of a funny term because it basically means that you're actually trying to use your initial settler and go attack somebody by getting some gold and settling right next to him and then rushing a warrior, trying for a walk-in or a lucky battle or something like that. Maybe if you're a little slower, you might have to get 25 gold, attack a barb, and rush up a warrior army and see if that works. A lot of the time with settler moving, you're looking to settler rush, or if you weren't initially looking specifically to Settler Rush, you're going to take that opportunity when it comes up.
Let's take a step back for a second. Thrasher, you about having a new strategy, or not a new necessarily, but you really worked out the mathematics to what it takes to walk in on an AI.
Well, it wasn't me. It was somebody on the 2K forums.
Some people just go straight for them, and we know that's not necessarily the right thing to do.
This is talking about taking out the AI with a walk-in with a single warrior in the first 10 turns in multiplayer game, which means that the AI is set to the same difficulty level as it would be on a single-player king game. So it would also work there.
All right.
The idea is that at the end of the 6th turn, at the end of 3500 BC, the AI will generate one warrior, and at the end of 3000 BC, the AI will generate a second warrior.
Obviously keep the second one in there.
Right. So you have until 3000 BC to sneak in there.
Which is a pretty good time frame.
Which is a pretty good time frame. However, if the AI finds out that you're on your way, it's going to reverse course and bring its warrior back. So you have to be sneaky, which means that if you want to walk in 3400, that's not going to work, because that means that you're standing outside the city in 3500. The AI sees you there, and it just fortifies its warrior, and it stays there. So if the AI hasn't discovered you yet, what you need to do is you need to sit there and wait for 2 turns, and then approach in 3300. Hopefully, in the meantime, the AI has sent its warrior in the opposite direction and is now 2 tiles away. So now you walk up in 3300. The AI says, "Oh no, I'm going to die," tries to bring its warrior back, doesn't get back in time, and you get a city. That's the basic plan, and it works out really well with most AI. It doesn't work with the Aztecs because they start with 25 gold and they will use it. It doesn't work with China, I don't believe.
They stay in a lot, but they do work on 2 food, 1 tree, so it takes them about the same amount of time to get a warrior.
Yeah, I think it takes the same time for them, too.
For their first.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, it's worth a try anytime. In fact, sometimes, even if I get there too late, I'll just try attacking 1 to 1.5, and I've won enough of those that it's totally worth it.
Yeah, it's about the same as 3 to 2.5. Actually, that's probably a little better with hit points, I think. It's pretty close.
It's just a funny little trick. I thought you wait an extra turn or two. It's kind of counterintuitive, but you do it. You wait 2 turns instead of going right in, and you get a free city 75% of the time at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to conceptualize where the city is, knowing when that warrior will appear, which is at the end of your turn, at the end of 3500, which means you get to take your turn of 3500 BC, and then the AI gets its warrior after that. If you just can visualize the map and think about where it's going to be and stuff, it's not very hard to work out.
If you just take like a couple extra seconds to, make sure you're not running into borders or anything like that too, and you can really tell. And a lot of times I settle on hills to take out their first warrior if I have 25 gold. If I'm next to a hill and there's their first warrior, I'll just settle there and take the risk, but, I'll just go for it.
Have you ever lost that way?
Not yet, but I've lost a lot of different ways. I'm sure it'll happen eventually.
I mean, most of us that play online, the AI is just fantastically stupid and easy to deal with. Especially if you're kind of new to playing online, you'll often see someone declaring war and going back to peace with the AI several times in a turn. And there are reasons to do that. But I mean, just think about, you declare on me, "Oh, you want peace? Oh, good. Thank God we're at peace again. Oh, wait, we're at war again. Oh, no." Give me a break. I mean, that doesn't even make any sense. It's basically the AI is just there as a gimme to whoever manages to go get it. Just like the 7 Cities of Gold or the Ark of the Covenant or the barbs or the naming tiles on the map. So AI abuse is very important. There's probably a long list of various things that you can do to the AI. Some of the good ones are sell it a tech right before you kill it.
If it has 2 techs, you buy one, and then you'll get the second one when you kill it, and your money back.
Yeah, which is really helpful if they have bronze working in monarchy. You obviously don't want to accidentally take bronze working when you have the opportunity to get monarchy.
Right.
I don't necessarily do this as much, but I've heard of people who will just declare war right away so that they never tech, and they will just constantly produce warriors or maybe even legions and just keep sending them your way, and you kill them for upgrades. I tend to go to peace more often than not with them, and then just, see what they know about the world and maybe try and sell them things or buy things, or
yeah.
I save war for when I'm really trying to kill them usually, or if I can get money from them.
Yeah, I don't want to do that at all. I mean, they'll come after my empty cities. That's no fun.
Then you have to defend.
TyShine has empty cities.
Then I'll have to put something in those cities, and I don't want to do that.
If you do get involved in a longer game and somehow an AI is still alive, you can really get a lot of information about your enemy, though, just by continually talking to the AI. Like when I'm playing a long game and my opponent is really running the clock a lot, and then I'll find out about every unit in every city that he has and pretty much where they are, because the AI will point at approximately where they are through the fog of war. So you get an idea where he is, how many cities he has, how many units are in the cities, what he's building in the cities. That kind of intelligence is just a really big deal, I think.
You said about running the timer. A lot of times players wondering what I'm doing with my timer. It's generally talking to the AI and trying to abuse them in every way possible. So that's what I spend my time doing.
Yeah, the same.
Stealing great people is another big part of it.
That's true.
Let them get those first great people because they'll settle them.
Yeah.
Or if they use them for gold, you can tell what they're doing, you know. Sell them worthless tech alphabet. They need alphabet for 50 gold, that's for sure.
Yeah, they love it too. It's a race when I'm with another good player to get them that tech as fast as possible because it's free gold, so just take it.
Certainly, when you encounter them early, if you're not going to be able to rush them right away, you should always declare war, go back into diplomacy, try declaring war a few more times, because often they will give you 25 gold for peace. And if you weren't going to go to war anyway, might as well.
Yeah, I'll try to protect them if I'm not the one rushing them, especially if they have a useful bonus like the Spanish, but it's tough. You can sell them bronze working and you can declare war, but I've seen them fall with many turns of bronze working in war, so...
Oh, yeah.
I'll just point out, by declaring war, it usually makes them build defensive units, so if you see them across the map, you declare war with them, they'll build defensive units.
I've seen that fail so many times.
True. I've seen it work, too. I'd say it's worth a shot, at the very least. It doesn't hurt you.
It can be worth a shot. There have been times that I've been like, should I sell the AI my pottery for 20 gold, or should I hope that it spends that 20 gold on an archer? And you know what? It's just most of the time it's not going to get that 20 gold. It's going to do more good than it's going to do the AI.
They have to have bronze working, but it can slow the other guy down even if they don't kill him, which can make a difference. But generally, they'll just get taken.
Going for irrigation, most of the time your opponent is too. So you want to do that safely, which means that every turn you need to look at the tech tree and see if there's a little one by irrigation. If there is, you can keep going. But also, this is something that I do. Say I'm having really good games. I'm doing like 30 beakers per turn, so I get masonry in one turn. And now it's 2 turns until irrigation. That first turn, I will not pick my tech. So I just get 30 beakers worth of research, whatever. Then the second turn, you can just dismiss the tech tree when it pops up. Just hit B on Xbox or whatever it is on PlayStation. Just say, no, I'm not going to choose right now. Which is kind of funny because now your scientists are just researching something vague and you'll tell them what they're researching later on. But that works. You can also do that with building things. That's just the way the CivRev world works. Just build me something, I'll tell you what it is later. So then the next turn, I will check to see if irrigation is still available and then select it. And then you can still lose it if someone else is getting it the same turn.
But at least you'll finish it.
Well, at least you're not wasting 2-3 more turns. Getting irrigation not first is kind of useless.
Irrigation obviously isn't a good tech path unless you get it. So that's a very good idea.
It's a dead end, actually. It doesn't lead to anything.
Yep.
Then I'll turn around and do the exact same thing with literacy.
Yep. It's the next best one.
I'm not building courthouses. I don't care about literacy except for the +1 science per city bonus.
Unless you need to do a button race. Good way to go.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's the thing. For Mongols, irrigation's a really good bonus. Though if you miss it and you have decent cities that can grow or you get some AI caps, then who cares?
Especially if you get a few enemy cities, then you really don't need it because you have all that extra trade. You can kind of just put those AI cities on teching, maybe supplement it a little with your barbs, but you definitely have some resources freed up now to do some expansion or to do some growth.
But literacy is one that I try not to live without as the Mongols. Because as much as everybody might get literacy or ignore it because they've only got 4 or 5 cities, you could have 8, 10, 12 cities. Early, yeah, literacy is very useful.
It really comes in handy for any civ for me. So for adding 3 more cities, that's great.
Just free science for the rest of the game.
Well, exactly. And you're likely to have more one-pop cities, but hey, every one-pop city is one more a beaker.
Every beaker counts.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really fun if you're the Mongols and get to literacy before the Chinese guy does.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done that yet.
Yeah, I have done that. I've also gotten to irrigation before the Egyptian.
I've done that. That's fun.
Those tend not to be very challenging games.
Well, no, I've actually purposely gone for literacy instead of irrigation just to annoy the Chinese player.
It's a good thing to do. Bonus is not wasted on China.
You steal their bonus.
Chinese players are used to having their way.
The ultimate tech tree for CivRev. This is actually the best tool you could have for this game. It's a tech tree, but it's got all kinds of additional information. It's a 2-page PDF. For one thing, it's got the gold milestones, so I can just, with a glance, even though I sort of know all this. One of the things we were going to talk about a little bit is the gold milestones. At 100 gold, you get a free settler. At 250 gold, you get currency or banking, and you get whichever one you don't have. So if you don't have currency yet, you get that. If you do have currency and you hit 250 gold, then you get banking. So if you get currency for free, then you would never get banking. You'd have to tech it or get it some other way. At 500 gold, you get a great person. At 1,000, you get a free granary in every city. At 2,000 gold, you get +1 population in every city. At 5,000 gold, you get the very valuable aqueduct building for free in every city. So you're looking for that. At 10,000 gold, you get another free great person. And at 20,000, you get the World Bank Wonder.
The ability.
You can get this wonderful tool that has all that information and more. It's on all the different CivRev sites. Created by Mike West, and I don't know what ever happened to him. He just kind of fired this awesome thing at us and put everything we need on it and then disappeared.
Yeah.
Information here that you really have to dig for to find anywhere else. So thanks to you if you're still out there. Obviously, the first one, the free settler at 100 gold, is something that pretty much I was playing for in the early game as CivRev. I think that more advanced players are sort of looking for other things, like I want to get a horse army together, or I want to get, I don't know, whatever. Usually a horse army. But at the same time, you do want to hit 100 gold, and the sooner the better.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's always in the back of your mind.
Yeah, that extra city will just speed everything along.
I've kind of broken away from this because I know that if I want to rush somebody, and I always want to rush somebody, that the faster the better, and don't worry about the consequences. Just get your army together, get it there. The sooner it arrives, the more powerful it's going to be. So I worry about this a little bit less, but at the same time, I still definitely feel more free to spend my money after I hit that 100, because I want to hit the 100 no matter what's going on. Unless I know I'm going to win the game before that happens. It's kind of a priority, I'd say, with 15 of the civs, every civ except for the Mongols.
No gold, no need for it.
It's all just production.
I'm kind of the opposite of you for the free settler. I'll actually store my gold unless I really need it to make sure that I get it, and then spend it all in one turn.
So you mean it's always a top priority?
Yeah.
Even if you're horse rushing?
Yep. If I know I'm going to get it soon, I'll just slow the horse rush, and then spend it all in like one turn. Because that extra city will help horse rush any more than anything else.
That's true. And if you can make that happen in a turn or two,
Yeah.
I can see it. If it's going to be 5 turns, I don't think it's worth it.
I think it depends on how many barbarians you can see and how many you're about to take before you make that decision.
Yep.
It's also kind of like a lot of these early game decisions tend to be. Are you in a free-for-all or head-to-head? Because if you're in head-to-head, I would just spend the gold, just spend it like crazy, because AI is so slow to take gold off the map that you're going to get a lot of gold. But if it's a free-for-all, then the other players, even if they're not particularly good, they're going to pick up gold faster than the AI, so there's going to be less for you to get there.
Yeah, it's entirely situational.
Yeah.
Especially with the Spanish, I want that 100 gold.
Really. I kind of feel the opposite than what you just said there, man. With the Spanish especially, instantly going to rush a galleon as soon as I can. I'm going to build a warrior or two and then go straight to building a galleon. And I'll spend any money I have to get it out. And after that, I'll start to save up for the 100 gold. Just because I think that early galleon is easy money.
I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit there, but...
Sorry. I'll get ahead of whoever I want.
I'll still win with the Mongols.
I agree with Headless, though, on that one.
We actually haven't mentioned yet, but we tried to play some free-for-all games earlier to talk about, and usually, by usually I mean always, when players like us get together to play a free-for-all, somebody's going to get hosed right away. And then you kind of like, well, it's too bad. Someone else is going to hang in there but not really be able to do very much, and then there's going to be 2 players that might win. And they might not be able to win for like 90 minutes, and then...
The map very rarely can it work out for 4 players.
But in one of those recent games, Mad, you were one of those players who got
Hosed.
hosed immediately, and that was because as soon as I was able, I rushed a galley.
Yep.
And I pushed it at you.
Well, you were the English, I was the Indians, just to...
Yeah, well...
Take that.
I settled in place, and I watched you settle. I saw your culture board, and I'm like, oh, I need a galley. And so I started working on that and looking for a barb, and you showed up with your galley and a warrior, so I had to run back into my city, and my other warrior could not find a barb at all. And then when I did find one, TyShine went and stole it on me.
Well, see, that's my point, because I had 60 gold,
Yeah.
and so I spent all of it on that galley. Because I knew that either I would get your city right away, but I was too slow to do that, or I would just totally lock you down, and I could just come over and kill you whenever I wanted.
It's the exact same thing that happened when Morte and I played each other French v French last game. We could see each other from barbarian villages. They showed our caps that we both moved, and we each rushed galleys and put warriors on trying to get each other.
So what happened?
I knew he'd get mad if I attacked because he hates it's 50-50 battles, so I attacked and won.
Perfect strategy. Good use of knowing your opponent's weakness.
Yeah, speaking about one of those games where I was the Spanish and you guys were the Romans and the Arabs. Yeah, I moved my settler. I dropped myself on double whale and went all gold. And yeah, it was a horrible start while you guys were taking over everything. But by 3000 BC, even after 3 turns of moving, I was at 4 pop. I already had bronze working and iron working by the time the Arab horse army showed up. And it was just so simple. And then I got rid of that, bought a galleon. It was whale after whale after whale just tossing out. I got up to 7 pop before I was able to actually start pushing out settlers. But that was a severe comeback.
I don't know about settling with no trees. I've done that before and really regretted it, but maybe with 2 whales. Maybe it works then. Anyway, I will insist to my grave that I had a chance in that game, but it froze, unfortunately.
I still had a GH, a GA, and a GE.
Well, I mean, those are good things to have, certainly. But I had a temple in my one population never going to grow capital, so,
Yeah,
eat it.
that was special. I could have flipped one of your 1-pop cities at any time.
The only 1-pop one I had was my capital.
No, you had a different one that was 1-pop. I could see it.
Oh, maybe.
But it had no whale, so it didn't matter.
I actually have a very embarrassing story that I'm going to share about the late game. I'm going to share it so everybody can hear it. I was actually the Americans, and I was playing against R. Sharp. I don't know if you guys have ever played him. He's actually a pretty good player, and he was the Egyptians at the time, probably like a year ago. I wasn't nearly as good as I am now, but I certainly wasn't terrible. I had a terrible start, lost some against the odds horse armies. He got trading post with some deserts, and he had a really good start. I think we split the money bonuses. Obviously, I still have an advantage because I'm the Americans, but it got into a complete stalemate because he was so far ahead of me. And I think he actually sent rifleman army into my cities, and I couldn't kill them because that's how far ahead of him he was, because they have the march with the Egyptians. And ultimately, I lost the game because he built temples and cathedrals after getting one of my cities and flipped like 12 cities in the matter of like 4 turns, and I lost.
That's awesome.
The hello goodbye strategy.
I don't know if there's a more embarrassing story than that, but I have lost a game due to culture flips. As the Americans, no less.
It can work, but you kind of have to be in the position where you should have already won for it to work.
I'm sure he could have won much earlier.
Maybe you can draw the whip on us and make sure we get some quality without quantity. Any developments on the console side happening?
Here we are, and there's still an active online community.
Yeah.
If anybody out there is thinking, well, it's been a while since this game's been out and I like it, but don't want to jump into online because it's probably dead, it's not dead.
For more information about RevCast, sibling shows PolyCast and Modcast, or about PolyCast in general, log on to the series' official website at thepolycast.net.
I'll just send you the one with all the extra crap on the front.
That's not really necessary.
Yeah,
Okay, hold on.
I'm talking about nothing.
Record date assorted 2009 and 2010.
Civilization Revolution Sounds clips copyright Take-Two Interactive.
Copyright Civilized Communication at civcom.net.